So, today's topic is nutrient-rich foods versus energy-rich foods. And energy-rich foods sometimes is called in the media calorie-rich foods. So nutrient-rich foods versus calorie-rich foods or energy-rich foods, whichever way you want to do it. So I thought that we would start with a question today that I want all of you to take a minute and just think about in your head, and then we can take a couple minutes and discuss with your neighbors. The question is, what did you eat for breakfast today? Now, if you skipped breakfast, you can think about what you ate for lunch. But what was one of your meals today, breakfast or lunch? And what I want you to think about is, would you describe it as nutrient-rich or energy-rich? Now, if you don't know, just take a guess. But I want you to just think about it for a second. What was my breakfast? Would I describe it as nutrient-rich or energy-rich? And if you don't know, then maybe your neighbor has some ideas and can help you. So take 3 minutes and discuss it with your neighbors. Everybody have a moment enough to discuss? Okay, now to begin with, I do want to point out that energies or calories are a necessary nutrient. So the idea is not to not get energy or to not consume calories. We need a certain amount of calories every day. So calories are part of the nutrition we need. But those are easy to get. They're in everything we eat. It's harder to get the nutrition, so that's why we need to focus a little bit more on that and understand how that comparison works. Okay, so first, our bodies need nutrients to stay healthy and energy to stay active. So the question is, which do you want?
Both.
One or the other, or both? A lot of people, I would say, just live to stay active. They're busybodies, and they're not concerned with their health. They think, I'm young, I'm 25 years old, I can do anything, I can climb Mount Everest, I can smoke cigars, I can stay out in the sun all day, I'm invincible. And that's fine. You know, we're supposed to live, we're supposed to be active. But I would say health is very important. And so that's why we need to focus on that even when we're younger, so that long term, when we turn 40 and 50 and 60, we've still got a lot of health. So here's a very, very basic course on nutrition. Our body requires large amount of macronutrients, and that's why they're called macronutrients, not because the molecules themselves, protein and carbohydrates and fat, not because the molecules are big, it's because we need a lot of it.
Okay.
And then there's something called micronutrients, which we need very little of, but is still very, very, very important. So here I've given some examples. The macronutrients we need are 3: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now what's interesting about these 3 is that all of them can be turned into energy. So carbohydrates are the easiest and first source of energy that our body takes. So if you eat bread or if you eat potatoes, any type of carbohydrates, our body is going to use that first. They break it down, turn it into glucose, put it into our bloodstream, and then our body uses it as energy. But if we're out of carbohydrates, then our body uses fats. And it can turn fat into glycogen, and glycogen into glucose, and glucose goes out into our bloodstream and is used as energy. But if our body is all out of carbohydrates and all out of fats, it can actually use protein as a source of energy. So what it does is it starts breaking down the muscle that we have in our body and turning that into glucose so that our body has energy to use. Now that's an extreme case, and it's not really so healthy for us. But if you run a marathon, or if you are in a place where you haven't eaten in 20 days, that process probably begins. And so it's a way for the body to survive. So all of the macronutrients can be used as a source of energy. But that's not their goal, really. Carbohydrates are our primary source of energy. Fats are important for all of the metabolism in our body, for our skin, for the growth of hair, for all of our joints. Protein are the basic building blocks of our body. So all new cells, all bone structure, all muscle, skin, hair, all of that is built basically from protein. So these are the 3 macronutrients we need. Now let's take a look at the micronutrients. Vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. Now we've heard a lot about vitamins, and we've heard a lot about minerals. We know vitamins A, C, D that we get from the sun, E. There's a huge variety. Even vitamins B, there's B6, there's B12. Minerals, we also have heard a lot about those. Sodium, calcium for our bones, all of those are very, very important. Now what about these phytochemicals? Well, the reason we don't know so much about them is because we didn't really learn about them until recently. The phytochemicals we're learning are things that are in plants, and it helps the plants stay very healthy. And when we eat those plants and we take in those phytochemicals, they help us stay very healthy. They basically are involved in cleaning our system. So phytochemicals are essential, for example, for keeping cancer away, or keeping your blood sugar levels stable, or also in regulating your blood pressure. So phytochemicals are essential, and we still don't really understand exactly how they work. We don't know how many there are, but they've already discovered that there's hundreds and hundreds of different phytochemicals, and they help our body in different ways. So these are micronutrients because we don't need so much of them all of the time, but we do need to have all of them at some point. So if we compared, we need to have 50 grams of protein a day. That's what the FDA says. A healthy adult, like myself, would need to eat 50 grams of protein a day. In comparison, if I take one of the minerals that we need, magnesium, we need 0.3 grams a day. So there you see the comparison. We need 150 times the amount of protein than magnesium. So that's why it's macronutrients and micronutrients. Actually, magnesium, if we were to calculate all of the magnesium that we have in our bodies at any single time, it would probably be about 25 grams, which is less than the protein we need every single day. So the magnesium that we're using is very, very small amounts, but it's essential for all of our body functions, for our hormones, for balancing our blood levels, for keeping our heartbeat beating, for breathing, for all of these chemical things that go on in our bodies. The micronutrients are essential. So, energy in food is measured in calories. And even though we throw this word around like it was the hottest thing around, most of us, I think, don't really understand what a calorie is. Now, the calorie is a chemical word, and it's actually a definition of how much energy it takes to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius at sea level. So you could calculate in a burning fire how many calories are being burnt. Because 1 gram of water, if it goes up 1 degree Celsius, then you know, okay, we burnt 1 calorie. If it goes up 10 degrees Celsius, 1 gram of water, then we've burned 10 calories. So that's the definition of calorie. And we need to understand that even though our bodies don't have any fire and they're not heating up water, our bodies do use up energy and produce heat and produce movement. All of these things are the burning of calories. So how can we understand it in our body in some kind of chemical way? Well, I weigh about 65,000 grams. And we said 1 gram, it takes 1 calorie to raise it 1 degree. So if I weigh 65,000 grams and I'm, say, 70% water and 30% mass, and if I was sick and my temperature was 96.6, and my real temperature should be 98.6, so my body is cold because I'm sick. So I'm 2 degrees Fahrenheit low, which in Celsius turns out to 1 degree. So my body is 1 degree low in temperature. Now for my body to raise all of my body's temperature that 1 degree, it would have to burn 65,000 calories. So that's a better understanding of how our body works and how it represents calories. Now our bodies are always at 98.6, even though the room temperature is maybe 70 degrees, or if we're in air conditioned, 65. So our body is having to work all the time just to keep us at the right temperature for us to be healthy. Now if I get out of bed and I walk to the bathroom to brush my teeth, my body is having to burn calories to create all of that motion. If I sit on a chair and I think, my brain is having to burn calories for me to think. So all of our actions are burning of calories. So just to keep my vital functions going, that's my heart beating, my breathing, and my basic brain activity, even if I was asleep. So just the REM, or dreaming activity, my body uses about 1,500 calories a day. So if I was, say, in a coma, or just very, very tired, and I slept for 24 hours, my body would still burn 1,500 calories just to keep my heart beating, my breathing going, and my brain functioning. Now if I have a day of light activity, just walking to the car, then driving to the office, sitting at my desk, talking on the phone, I don't really do any exercise. I don't go out and walk for 10 minutes, or I don't go to the gym and get on the treadmill or anything. My body burns about 750 calories more, just in very light activity. So if we add this up, that's about 2,250 calories. So just on a regular basis, I need to consume 2,250 calories every day to not gain or lose any weight, just to be regularly active. Now how much everybody needs to do, you have to calculate yourself, and you can go online and there's calorie calculators that asks you how old you are, how much you weigh, and one more thing, how tall you are. And based on that, they tell you, okay, well, you need to eat 1,800 or 2,500. So based on that, you can determine how many calories you burn each day. So now we've talked about the energy needs of the body. So I need 2,250 calories for my energy. But regardless of how many calories I need, whether that's 2,000 or 2,250 or 2,500, my body has to get carbohydrates, fat and protein, vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals to stay healthy. Now I'm talking about nutrition. I'm not just talking about getting out of bed, going to work, talking on the phone, and having the sniffles all day, and being sick, and having a headache. If I want to stay healthy, if I want to not have a headache, if I don't want to get cancer, if I want, if I cut myself, my body needs to heal that. So if I want to stay healthy, I don't need to just consume 2,250 calories. I need to consume all of these things in order for me to have optimal nutrition. So that's the difference between just energy and calories,
Just survive.
or
Quality.
eating to stay healthy. So we talked about these two ideas, nutrient-rich and energy-rich eating. So let's define them both. Nutrient-rich eating is the largest amount of micronutrients per calorie. So we already said that getting calories is easy. But I want to, within those calories that I'm going to consume every day, 2,000, I want to get as many micronutrients as possible. I want to get a lot of calcium and potassium and sodium, magnesium, all of these things I need. Plus, I need to get protein and carbohydrates and fats, all of the things that my body needs. So when we're eating nutrient-rich, we're eating for optimum health. And now let's define energy-rich eating. And this is the largest amount of calories per gram. So if there was a starving person who hadn't eaten in many, many days, and they were very, very thin and frail, it might be important for this person to eat energy-rich, just because they need to get energy for their body to be able to build itself back. So they're trying to get the largest amount of calories per gram. And this is eating just to stay alive, just to be active. So now that we've defined the two, let's make a little comparison so we understand. Which is more nutrient-rich as far as calcium is concerned? Cheddar cheese or milk? Does anybody have a guess? Some guess cheese, some guess milk, okay? We don't know, right? Let's figure it out. So, 100 calories worth of cheese has 180 milligrams of calcium. Because we're looking specifically at calcium, that mineral. Now 100 calories worth of whole milk has 350 milligrams of calcium. Which one is more nutrient rich? The milk, because it has a lot more calcium for the same amount of calories. So in both of these cases, we're having 100 calories. 100 calories of cheese and 100 calories of milk. We're going to get a lot more calcium from the milk. So we would say that the milk is more nutrient rich. That doesn't mean that the cheese is bad to eat or that it's not nutrient rich. It's certainly giving us 180 milligrams of calcium. But if we're looking for maximum nutrition, then the whole milk has more calcium. But here we're comparing apples to apples, because cheese and milk is basically the same thing, right? One is just one step further processed. Now that's a very important and interesting tip, that the more processed something is, the more nutrition it loses. So if we begin with, say, whole wheat, and you just get it from the field and you just eat it raw, it has tons of nutrition. If you instead just take that whole wheat and you pull off the part that's the oats and you put it into a stone roller and it rolls them and it crushes them, and they get rid of the outside, which is kind of tough, you don't want to eat that anyway, and then I eat those rolled oats, I've already lost a lot of nutrition. Now if I take those rolled oats and I process them further so that they're quick to cook, because we all have 3 minutes to make breakfast, and so we don't want to buy rolled oats, we want to buy quick oats. Now in that process, we've lost more nutrition. Now instead of buying the quick oats, you want to get the cup that's already ready and just put it in the microwave. In that process, from going from the quick oats to the cup to put in the microwave oats, you've already lost nutrition. Now let's go a step further. We're not even talking about oats. Let's make flour out of it. and let's get rid of a lot of the good stuff that's in oats and just eat flour, again, we've lost more nutrition. So if we compared how much calcium there is in oats from the field compared to white flour, it's amazing. You lose maybe, so let's say oats has 70% calcium for our daily need. White flour probably has 2%. So we've decreased it by 35 times. So the more processed a food is, the less nutrition it has. So instead of comparing apples to apples or milk to cheese, which is the same thing, now let's compare apples to chips. Because now we're getting into this realm of nutrient-rich and energy-rich foods. So let's look at an apple. An apple weighs 230 grams, your average apple, which is 8 ounces of apples. If you eat the whole apple, which most of us don't, we leave the core, we throw out the core, we would get 95 calories. So say we didn't eat the core, we get 80 calories maybe. And in those 80 calories, we're getting sodium, we're getting potassium, we're getting vitamin A, we're getting calcium, vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, magnesium. All of these things are baked into the apple. On top of it, you're getting energy because it's got 95 calories. So your body is going to be able to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 95 degrees Celsius. So you have energy and you have a bunch of these micronutrients that your body needs. Let's take a look at the chips. 1 serving of Pringles, if you look at the side of the container, is 28 grams. We're going to ignore the fact that nobody eats 28 grams of chips in one sitting.
Not Pringles.
That's 1 ounce. That 1 ounce has 150 calories.
1 ounce. Wow.
And it contains sodium because they put a lot of salt in it.
Right.
It actually has way too much sodium, so much sodium that it's unhealthy for you. And it has some vitamin C. Where did the vitamin C come from? If you ate a potato, that's where they get Pringles from, right? Potatoes. The potato, a real potato has 70% of our daily need of vitamin C, whereas the chip has 6%. So where did we get this vitamin C? Well, because Pringles are made of potatoes, but it's so processed that we've lost more than 10 times the amount of vitamin C that was in it. Why? Because Pringles are very processed. So 8 ounces of chips. Now if we were comparing the same amount of apples to chips, and not just the serving size, if we ate 8 ounces of chips, you'd be consuming 1,200 calories. How many were in the apple? 95. How many in the same amount of chips? 1,200. More than 12 times the amount of calories. And you're missing out on the potassium, the vitamin A, the calcium, the iron, the vitamin B6, the magnesium. So eating an apple is very, very healthy for you. It's a nutrient-rich food. Eating some Pringles, it's like eating garbage as far as your body is concerned. You're basically just eating a bunch of calories and no nutrition whatsoever. So that's the comparison that we're making between nutrient-rich and energy-rich foods. So now let's look a little deeper. An apple will give you 5 times the feeling of fullness than the same amount of Pringles. Why? Because the apple also has fiber in it. And the fiber is tremendously important in keeping our system healthy, in keeping our digestive tract clean, in keeping our body clean and strong and healthy. In the Pringles, they've taken out pretty much all of the fiber. And so you don't feel full. You can eat Pringles forever and almost never feel full. You can eat 2,000 calories worth of Pringles and still not feel full. If you eat an apple and you wait 10 minutes, your body feels satisfied. Maybe not full, an apple's not enough to make us feel full, but satisfied. And we're only getting 1/12 the amount of calories. than the Pringles. An apple is jam-packed with phytochemicals, which is what the body needs to fight against cancer, to lower our blood pressure, to avoid getting diabetes. While the chips have only some vitamin C that was originally present in the potato. It's so processed that it's lost about 64% of its vitamin C. An apple provides us with some carbohydrates, some fats, and some protein, macronutrients, and a variety of vitamins, 5 vitamins, and minerals, 5 minerals, and phytochemicals. We have no idea how many phytochemicals are in your apple, but I would guess 200 or more for sure. All of those things we're getting from a simple apple. All of this nutrition that we need. If you're eating Pringles, you're basically eating garbage. You're just consuming calories, which our body needs to stay active, but not to stay healthy. So, to make matters worse, studies show that the food we eat today, because our soil, our farmlands, are depleted of nutrients. We've abused our farmlands so much that the food we eat today has 1/3 less nutrition than it did 80 years ago. So if you're eating an apple today, and you could take a time machine and go back 80 years and get an apple then, and you ate the 2 apples, the old one would give you 1/3 more nutrition. It would have 1/3 more vitamin C, 1/3 more calcium, 1/3 more everything. And this is even in organic food. So organic food is still depleted of nutrients if we compare it to the food that our grandparents grew up eating. So we are already at a disadvantage. The food industry, the way we've grown our crops in the United States, has put us at a disadvantage, that we are lacking in nutrition. And that's one of the reasons that I think people feel hungry all the time. Because it's not that we're hungry, that we're seeking calories. Our bodies are telling us we're seeking nutrition. We're lacking in magnesium, potassium, phytochemicals, whatever. I had this interesting situation, and that was, I woke up one morning and one of my eyes was blinking a lot. It was just blinking and I couldn't control it. And so I just thought it was a twitch, and I maybe slept on it wrong or something. And my girlfriend said to me, "You're missing potassium." I said, "How do you know?" She said, "Somebody told me the story that their eye was twitching, and it was a lack of potassium, and they ate a banana, which is rich in potassium, and problem solved." So guess what I did? I went to the kitchen, I ate a banana, and guess 5 minutes later what happened?
It stopped.
My twitching stopped. My body was lacking potassium. So, just to sum it up, that is the basic comparison between nutrient-rich foods and calorie-rich foods. And, there is no encyclopedia of what is healthier and what is not. It's not about broccoli is more nutrient-rich than kale, or, barley soup is more nutritious than this or that. It's about, are the foods you're eating mostly nutrient-rich or energy-rich? Because it's not about not eating anything enjoyable. We all love chocolate, we love brownies, we love, and there's a occasion to celebrate. Today we're celebrating 1 year of doing these meetings. And so, of course, there's a time to celebrate. We're going to celebrate. But are you celebrating at every meal? Are you just eating? Are you just eating calorie-rich foods? Or are you actually investing long-term in your health by eating nutrient-rich foods?